Another beautiful day of Vlogmas. Well, I was gonna do another video, but I thought, you know what? Let's kind of keep this pattern going. Is it really a pattern? I don't know. So about whenever I did Vlogmas last time, which was like, what, 2 years ago or something like that, I dropped 2 videos of like weird customer client stories. So I have these. I'm gonna tell 2 because I think last time I dropped the videos, you know, they were like pretty long, crazy stories. So like each story was its own video. But these will be a little bit shorter. But I find them to be strange. They're like different kinds of strange, right? Not like crazy, insane in the way that of the stories I told before. These are like a different kind of crazy. So I thought it would be interesting to share this story with you guys. And then let me just hear your feedback. Maybe you think, hey, that's actually not that bad. Maybe it's a you thing. And I'm totally cool with receiving that kind of feedback. But let me go ahead and tell my story. I'm sorry. Again, dogs and cats around my house are just making a mess, dropping ornaments off of my tree. But so let's get started. So the first story, it has to do, all these stories obviously have to do with my sewing thing, right? Because I have so many stories of when I used to work at a call center and we had like really weird clients, but those would be highly sexual in nature. So that would have to be stories for another time. Damn. Anyway, so the first story is I got a message from a local designer acquaintance of mine. She's absolutely brilliant. She sent me a message. She's like, hey, I was gonna work with this client, but it turns out like I don't know, from what I remember from my memory, because this was quite long ago, there was some kind of schedule conflict that she couldn't work with this person anymore. So she's like, I gave him your information. You know, if you need work, he's gonna hit you up. He is an author and he wants to do like a book cover for his next book, and he wants to do a photo shoot of it, but he needs like an outfit made for like the character, whoever, you know, whatever model or actor is going to be on the cover of this book. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's nice. Cause I mean, at that point, I don't think I was too into the film industry yet. At that point, I was like maybe barely getting started into it, but I had done like a lot of photo shoots and of course costumes for people. So I was like, sure, send him my information. I'd love to talk to him. So this guy got a hold of me, and we decided to meet at, you know, normal place. I always meet at a Starbucks, right? Or some coffee shop. I said, yeah, I'll meet you here. Let's talk shop and let me kind of get a feel of your character, what you're trying to do. I can come up with a quote while we're here drinking our coffee, and all that stuff, right? So I drove to a Starbucks. I met up with this author. So we're talking. He's like, yeah, I have, my last book was like bestseller on Amazon or something like that. It sold a lot of copies. So I'm really, how he was saying it was like, it's really getting traction, and I really want to put in some more money and effort into my next book, which is why I wanted to do this photo shoot for the cover. Paraphrasing, of course, that was what the purpose of hiring me was. So I said, okay, cool. So he showed me the name of his story from his Amazon, I guess, store, or so I could see the cover of his last, and said, okay, it's kind of like, I think I remember it was like kind of like a high fantasy, you know, sci-fi, not so much, if you understand like high fantasy is. So I was like, okay, started doing little sketches. We're going back and forth. This guy's talking to me about how great his last book did and how he loves to, you know, like you're talking about himself, and go, okay. So I believe at one point, you know, during our conversation, I was like, okay, so if you want to make this, it's probably going to be in this ballpark range. I would just need some more, I mean, maybe clarification from you. I feel now that I'm thinking back on it, it was kind of left as like we shot a lot of ideas at each other, but nothing was getting close to being set in stone or confirmed, or he liked this. There was just more clarification needed. So he was like, okay, this all sounds great. I'll message you when I'm ready to do it. You know, it might need some changes, but you know, you let me know how much it's going to cost or whatever. I think he even asked me if I knew anyone that modeled at that point. And I think I might have given them some some names of some ladies local that that could model for him. So I was like, okay. So then I go home, I get a text from him, and he's like, oh, it was great to meet you. Again, kind of just reiterating the same thing. And then I got a phone call from him not too long afterwards, because this is where it started to get weird, right? Like he would text me, oh, it's just getting closer. I just need some more clarification, you know, yada, yada, yada. Okay. And then like a couple days would pass by, or maybe a week. And he's like, hey, Sarah, yeah, I'm just trying to get the funding together and get all my people, like blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, man, I mean, I'm not under a deadline. It's you that you gotta, you know, get this stuff together in order for us to agree on an outfit. And then if you hire a model, I need her measurements and all that stuff. And then the last time I spoke with him, he actually called me and he was like, same thing, right? Hey, Sarah, I'm sorry for the delay. I'm just getting some last minute details, you know, hashed out here, blah, 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 blah. And I said, hey man, again, I don't need to rush you. You just tell me my schedule's still open whenever and then he got off and I go, oh, that sounds great. Okay, great. Talk to you later. He's like, okay, talk to you later. Love you. Bye. And then I hung up and I said, this fucker just say love you? So I rewound it in my mind. I backtracked. Bye. I said, bye. I love you. I know he fucking said, I love you. Like he literally told me, love you. So I was like, yeah, this one's crazy. And I did get a little bit of a weird vibe when I was with him at Starbucks. And I was like, nah, he's just, you know, we're all artists. We're weird. We could be eccentric, whatever. So I kind of like ignored those vibes from him. But certainly when he said, I love you in the last of our phone call, I was like, definite weirdo, fucking block. You know what I mean? And then after that, I was like, yeah, this guy's weird. Usually when people talk a big game about themselves, it's anything but, right? So I remember the name of his book. I don't remember it now. Wish to God, because I would totally tell you guys. So at the time, I think my browser was still open where he showed me, and I went, I go, let me go fucking look at this book. Because he had just showed me like the title of his last book, right? Just like the photo of it, and I could see it was in like an Amazon. Because I think it's really relatively easy to be like an Amazon author or something, to have Amazon publish your stuff. So I look up this book. It's there. And then I go, Amazon bestseller. I was like, let me check this out. So I go and I'm like scrolling and I'm looking at all the information on his book. And I scroll down, I go, if this was a bestseller, it would have mad reviews, right? It had one review. And I think the review was just like, nice book. It was something like nothing compelling, right? So I was like, yeah. So things just didn't check out, right? So, I mean, I did block him. I looked it up, but I thought that was hilarious because he spoke such a big game during our meeting about his book and how well it did, and it had like one review, and I don't even remember if I could tell and see but I couldn't find any. Also, I remember I couldn't find any information that would lead me to believe that this book had ever been on like an Amazon bestseller or a bestseller of anything, right? So I was like, okay, this guy's like delusional, crazy. So I wonder if my acquaintance friend had weird vibes from him and she's like, let me pass him off. I don't know. I don't want to think that of her, but maybe she was like, I'm getting weird vibes. Maybe Sarah can handle this dude. Okay. So that's what I think about that. Now this goes back to where it's like, you can't please everyone, even if it literally is really good work. Immaculate painting, immaculate sewing, neat precision. I don't know, dude. I had a weird thing where I sold a dress on eBay and it was from a photo shoot, and the dress literally looked like it looked, right? It was just like a tunic dress with a very simple cloth belt of the same fabric. Someone bought it on eBay and then they wrote a negative feedback. This is just like a dress and a cheap belt. But like, that's literally what it looked like in the photo. Like, I don't know what people expect. You're seeing what you're getting, and then you get mad when you get what you see. You know what I mean? It's insane, right? So this lady, this is from my Joanne teacher days. I remember I was cleaning up at the end of the class, cleaning up my classroom, and a woman walked in and she had a box with her and she said, "Hi, the cashier said that you make things for people, and I wanted to see how much it would be if you would make this shirt for me from some sari fabric that some relative of hers got from India, or somebody, a friend of hers who was Indian, gave her a really pretty sari." So, and if you don't know, a sari is like a long piece of fabric that they wear in like Indian culture, where they like wrap themselves to make like a hood with it, or they do like a shawl thing with a hood. It covers their partial part of their body. So it's like a piece of functional clothing, but it's just like a really long piece of fabric. So I said, "Sure, of course. What can you show me?" So she pulled out this sari fabric and she said, "I have this shirt that I want an exact copy of, but in this fabric." And I will put the photo at the end of this video, because I do have the photo. And I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me finish the story. So she's like, "I want a copy of this made in this fabric." And I was I measured everything, because the sari fabric wasn't that wide. In fact, it wasn't as wide as like normal fabric. Normal fabric is about like 42 to 45 inches. And I believe this came in the width just under like 42 inches. I think it was maybe 40, 41. But it really wasn't that wide. So I was looking at this lady and I was like getting her measurements, and I was measuring this against the sari. Now, if you understand sewing, there's like, you always want to make patterns with the grain line with most pieces. Now, if you do stuff that has like a curve in it, like a neck piece, or I can just think of a neck piece at this point, but you cut those on on the diagonal of the grain line. So the grain line, let's say, is like your vertical lines. So the sari, from what I could tell, it was what was like the long part of it, that was the grain line, but it was long, but only on one side of the fabric was the design. Here, I'll use this curtain in the background. So it was long like this, right? But on one side of the fabric was this beautiful floral design, and on the other side, which was like this side, it was blank. So if I was going to do a shirt in that direction, her outfit would only have that one floral design on half of her body. So I remember specifically, I did tell this woman, she mentioned she could sew, but her sewing wasn't up to par to copy a garment like that. And I said, "Okay, from what I can tell on the measurements and the grain line of how this sari is going, I'm going to have to do, I believe I did the front part in 3 pieces, because she was not like a skinny woman. She was like my size, or like maybe a size larger. So maybe like between a 14 and a 16 she was. And I told her, I'm going to have to do this pattern against the grain. So instead of having it long ways, I'm going to have to put the patterns this way. And I have to do like the front in 3 sections. The back is probably going to have to be in like 3 sections as well, to make everything fit on this long, skinny piece of fabric. And I blatantly said, it's going to have to be against the grain. I don't normally want to do that, but in order for this outfit to like be harmonious and the pattern, like it looks nice, I'm going to have to flip it and do it against the grain. And she was like, "Okay, that's fine. I know, but I can certainly copy this outfit. It's not a problem." I go, it's going to cost this much, and I'll just charge you to if you want to go right now and buy, I'll need like, let's say 2 spools of thread, like for the notions and stuff. She's like, "Okay, cool." So I took this fabric home. I did the, I did the thing, right? And I remember it was her measurement almost took up the entire, I couldn't have even a 1/2 inch seam allowance, because then I would go off the fabric. So I remember the seam allowance was super thin. It was like a 1/4 inch seam allowance. and I couldn't even do my serger on it because my serger wouldn't get that thin. I had to do like a really small zigzag stitch on the allowances because it was just so thin. But I did it, you know, I did a lot of hand sewing. It was a very nice fabric. When you see the picture of it, you're going to be like, the fuck? Because I did a good job on it. I'll toot my horn there. It was beautiful. It was an exact copy of the garment she gave me to copy. So me being a nice lady, when I finally finished it, I was like, I called her up. I said, hi, because I had made an arrangement with her. I was like, oh, I have a class on this day and you live kind of close to the store. I go, I'd be more than glad to go take it, drop it off, and you can just give me the money. So she was like, okay. So after a class one day, I drove down to her house and I delivered the garment, and she went and tried it on. And then she came back out and she goes, this is not what I expected. And it knocked me, you know, my spirit fell out of my body. You know, my body's just standing there, but my spirit was like knocked out of my body because I went, the what? What do you mean? I go, I said, but it looks just like the outfit that you gave me to copy. So confused, right? So freaking confused. She was up, like, she was not pleased. And I was like, what do you mean? I go, and I don't even remember, honest to God, if I reminded her, like, hey, we had this discussion about how I had to cut it, you know, against the grain, because then you would have a shirt, like an asymmetrical shirt. It would be blank on one side and all this floral print down the other side. So it fit her, right? She tried it on. I know it fit her. She's just like, this is not what I expected. And, you know, and immediately I just lost patience. Now, I normally don't, like, unless they're being nasty, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to throw attitude, but I was just like, okay, I'm sorry to hear that. Your balance is this much. How are you going to pay? You know, like fuck this, dude. So she paid me. Like, I don't remember her even refuting to pay me or wanting a discount. She paid me what she owed me and I left. But I was like, what are you talking about? Like, literally, it was the same outfit she gave me. I gave her the disclaimer before I started, or, you know, or maybe she didn't even know what the fuck a gray line was, you know? She was just like, yeah, sure, whatever. But I told her exactly how it was going to end up looking. I go, all the pattern's going to be like at the bottom of your shirt. Let me go ahead and start the picture now, and you guys take a look and you tell me if this is a piece of shit. Because I certainly, to this day, do not think, I don't know if she thought maybe if her being visibly upset would instill fear in me and then I would offer a discount, which I didn't, because I was so confident in this outfit. I was like, there ain't no way, like, this outfit is perfect. But I mean, she paid me what she owed me, and then I left her house and I was like, I better not hear back from this lady, because then I will throw attitude. Because I was like, you know, because at the same time too, you're in someone's home. Like, you don't want to really disrespect someone inside their home. But I was just like, lady, you are crazy. So yeah, those are my 2 crazy client stories. You let me know. You let me know how you think of these. Because I think the last 2 stories that I told you guys, those were just blatantly like WTF stories. Like, crazy, entitled, just weird people. You know, one of them clearly had no communication or the balls to tell me, never mind. And the other one was just a brat. So you let me know. I'd love the feedback. All right. Well, thank you so much. Give us a like, subscribe if you're not, and we'll just continue on. Let's finish this Vlogmas out. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.